Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're so glad you're here. Whether you're joining us on YouTube or LinkedIn, Facebook, if you're here, please drop a comment. We would love to hear who's here and engage with you. And I'm so delighted, Cheryl, that you are here. I am
It's great
Karen
to be
Fleshman.
here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm Karen Fleshman, founder of the Interracial Sisterhood Coalition and of Racy Conversations. And we're here today to talk about white women. We are needed now. Exclamation point with Cheryl Wozniak. And I would love for you to introduce yourself.
Great. Thank you, Karen. I'm Cheryl Wozniak, and I am recently retired from a 35-year career in education. Um, really beautiful years of well-intentioned work of fighting for, equity for all of my students. I spent 23 years as a teacher and then 11 or 12 as an administrator doing the good work. And what I'm really sitting with now at this juncture of time of what I see happening in our country, and with a little bit of even space, Karen, from the profession and some work I've been doing more on myself, is really the role that the systems play out, the systemic racism plays out in education, and how it's happening right before our eyes, and yet we're missing a lot of that because the systems were designed for us to not see the inequities. And so I've really taken on this personal journey of examining my own whiteness and my role in it, and am really excited about building a second career and devoting my work moving forward to working with white women and specifically white educators in breaking down those systems to have an equitable experience for all students.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. And in the short time that we have known each other, I'm just so grateful that you have chosen this path, and I'm grateful to be walking alongside it with you. And with that said, I would love for us to watch this short video clip. I don't know how many of you have seen this. This is a conversation between Malcolm Nance, who has a very robust YouTube presence and is a commentator on politics and the state of our country, with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and Joy Ann Reid. And they're talking about the current state of our country and what needs to happen. And it's a very important clip. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for everybody. And if you are joining us, please post a comment. We would love to hear from you. But let's listen to Malcolm and Joyanne Reid for it's about 4 minutes that we're going to listen to them. Oh, whoops. Okay, I have to. How do I actually? Okay. Hold on. I don't usually do these types of things, and I have to go over here. Okay. And now I can press the play.
More. Now
Well,
you're
I will say,
what do you think?
I get why African Americans are saying y'all are on your own.
I get it.
We did.
They've had a 6-month vacation.
100%, but this isn't a vacation. I think that people are still processing the loss and the betrayal, quite frankly, of women, of fellow women, white women who still voted for The Handmaid's Tale that will destroy them and their daughters, of Latino men who, by the way, they didn't in majority of Latinos did not vote for Trump. That is not true. It was a percentage of Latino men who did vote in a majority for Trump, but certainly none of the undocumented people who are being snatched off the street voted for Trump. They can't vote. Right. And so I too believe that we have to re-engage, but I can understand why Black folks are like, am I going to be in the streets where we're the biggest target? Probably not. But there are other ways to serve, and there are other ways to protest. And so I think Black people have carried the weight, the moral weight of this country since 1619. We've been at the center of every movement for positive change. We're the reason that y'all have free public school. You're welcome. We've done all that we can to make this a moral and better country and to make it a more perfect union. And we are tired. And we're tired of y'all. We're tired of people taking advantage of our movements and then leaving us behind when they achieve what we built for them. We built this country for free. We built you a democracy, and now you don't want to even let us participate in it. And now you want to deport all of the brown people with what? To put us back in the fields? No, thank you. And so I think Black people have a moral commentary to make, including on our allies. And I think white Americans, you guys picked this president. This was your choice. A majority of you, your cousins, your uncles, your family, y'all put him in office. You need to fight him. You need to be out front. You need to put your bodies out front, and you need to let us be the second chair. We will be second chair, but y'all got to be first chair. This is a moral moment. And it's a moral moment, to be honest, for white America, because you all are the only group that has in a majority, including white women, voted for Republicans consistently in every election since the 1960s. You did that because Black people got civil rights. And you now have to reckon with your choices. These were not our choices. Yes, some Black people voted for Trump. Some Black people who didn't pay attention and thought he was funny or whatever, thought they were going to get a check. Yeah, they voted for him. But it was mostly you all. And so it is not our responsibility to morally lead you anymore. We are not your nursemaids. We are not your mama. We're not your auntie. This is not the 60s. We are not going to baby you and carry you anymore. If America wants to be made great, if it wants to be made better, if it wants to be a more perfect union, its majority, its current majority must decide that they've had enough. And I believe that at a certain point, even white Americans who like the idea of maintaining their social status at the top of the pyramid of the United States sort of society, even they at a certain point will be tired of the clown show. And when they're tired of it, like every country in the world, when people get sick of it, they will overthrow this dictatorship. I have full confidence that eventually people will get tired of him, tired of this, tired of MAGA. But it isn't going to be Black people who are responsible. And we will not be held responsible for getting rid of this. You get rid of it. You figure it out, and we'll be there in second chair to support you, because we too do not want to live this way. But by the way, y'all already have us living in Project 2025 in Texas and Arkansas and Tennessee and Texas. You got us living in every red state in Project 2025. We already know what this is, and we know how to survive it. Y'all have to learn how to survive fascism, not us. We already live in fascism because of you.
Yes. Okay. Well, okay. You explained it well.
Thank you, Malcolm. I
agree.
appreciate you having me on your pod.
Okay. Whew. So when you heard those words, Cheryl, what came up for you?
Oh, so many things came up. But some of the things that stood out, I was like, the Black community confronting the white community, just naming our history, naming our complicitness, naming the fact that, it's very easy for me to claim I did not vote for the current president, and this is something that I've been afforded as a white person, to speak from an individual perspective for all these years and say, it wasn't me, right? And yet what I've learned is that I need to forego that individual perspective that I had, that it wasn't me, and take ownership for the collective role that white people have played in getting us to this place in history. And I need to figure out, that's what I'm in the process of figuring out, what is my role? How can I use my power, my privilege as a white woman to take a stand and to take action in this moral moment in this country and to do something about it. And part of that is me continuing to turn to and honor the work that Black women and men have done historically, their resilience, their perseverance, their ability to just really come together as a community to fight for their rights when no one else was going to do it for them. To honor that, to listen, to learn, and then to get busy, to step out there into new territory and to take action.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. And as you were speaking, I was thinking about, literally white plantation owner men imported white women to this country in order to police the plantation and to have white children to make the plantation an intergenerational enterprise and to be on site so that they could be off writing the Declaration of Independence or uh, fighting in the Revolutionary War, etc. And we have perpetuated that role for 400 years.
Yes.
And when we say, that's it, I'm not doing this anymore, that whole system will crumble. And as Joanne Reed points out, all our rights as white people, as white women, as white queer people, as white people with disabilities, as white members of religious minorities, whatever the case is, of white older people and younger people, all of those rights were secured through the civil rights movement, to which white people did not contribute. I mean, some white people did contribute,
Yeah.
a handful did. But when it comes to white women, all our rights to workplaces free of discrimination, protection from sexual harassment, wage and wage gap, ability to fight against that. All of that came from Black people. And have we ever said, thank you, Black people? Have we ever said, you open the door for me. Now I'm going to make sure you open the door. The door is open for you. Black people secured those rights, and then everybody else came in and took advantage of them. And who got left behind? Black people. And this has to stop. As Joanne Reed points out, they have always led. Now it is time for us, white people, to figure it out. And for us, white people, to collect our cousins and gather them. And Charles says, we're doomed. I'd love to be positive, but I've been through hell and am still in hell and expect to remain in hell under either system. Charles, I feel your pain. It is really hard, just with everything going on right now, to have any sense of hope. And yet, and still, Black people held on to hope. Black people in the depth of slavery held on to hope that someday their grandchildren would be free, their great great grandchildren. And they kept struggling and struggling and struggling for all that time. So who are we to be like, I'm not going to hold on to hope? I'm going to just let them do whatever. No, we have to struggle. Without struggle, there is no progress, as Frederick Douglass taught us. We cannot expect, he said, power concedes nothing without a demand. Are you kidding me? We saw it on January 6th, what these people are willing to, the lengths they are willing to go to hold on to their power. Okay. And as Joanne Reed mentions earlier in that interview, Democrats are not really well equipped to fight fascism. We need to have local organizing, the way the Montgomery bus boycott. We need boycotts. We need strikes. We need white people coming together to say, we reject this and affect it, peacefully. I am no uh, advocate of violence. I am a total peaceful protester, but organizing to impact systems by boycotting, by striking, this is how we can bring this system down. And there's so many more of us. The whole Trump regime is designed for the billionaire class, which is what, only a handful of people, like 200 people in the whole country, right? There's so many more of us than there are of them, and we can prevail, but it's through relationship. It's through that personal transformation and then coming together on the local level. And I know I'm just talking and talking here. So let me take a pause there and see how that landed with you and what's going through your mind at this point.
Well, I want to address also Charles's, comment to say something I appreciated that I think we need to hold on to is Joyce Ann Reid's statement toward the end, which is that she has every confidence in white people's ability to fight this, to stand up and to come together. And I'm thinking, okay, if this Black woman believes in us, we have to believe in us, right? But part of that is her experience. And I want to name, we have not had to struggle in the same way. So our capacity and even our belief in our ability to persevere is not has not been strengthened because we haven't had to build that muscle, right? And so it's really uncomfortable for us right now because we don't know that we can do it, but we have to believe in ourselves. We have to have faith in one another. We have to have faith in the greater collective of white people in this country. And we need to stop fighting amongst ourselves and pointing fingers at those who voted for this situation and just say, you know what? We got to let that go and come together. So that I wanted to bring up. And then circling back, Karen, to what you brought up about the history of white women, being brought here and put in a particular role. It's like that is part of our history. And I think that it's what we as white women tend to focus on is the patriarchy's role in keeping us in our place and not understanding though the role we played in in these systems, in upholding the systems, right? Because that's the ugly part of our history we don't want to face. We tend to only, and I speak for myself first, see myself as a victim of the patriarchy and not accept my role in perpetuating these systems. So it's like, okay, and it's not healthy for for me to stay in a place of beating myself up. So it's like, okay, face it, understand the role I've played in it, and also recognize like I have a lot of strength, I have a lot of tools, a lot of us, like, look what we as women, white women, have overcome. So now let's take that the next step, right? This is a point in history for us. We are the group of people next to white men with the most power. We're next in line. So let's use that power for good, but let's do it not by looking at and pointing fingers amongst ourselves within the community of white women. Take ownership, learn, come together in community, which I know we'll be talking about your program. This is what this is about. And then link arms with our sisters of color and get to work, right? But we've got to do the work ourselves and acknowledge our role and then not stay in it, but learn from it and move forward.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that, Cheryl. I really, really appreciate and agree with everything you shared just now. And I think for white women, for the longest, I really tried to distance myself from my ancestors. I tried to distance myself from other white women walking this path. I wanted to be the cool white woman. And I wanted to get as close to Black women, as close to women of color as possible, and as far away from my white sisters as possible. And so many of my mentors kept telling me, Karen, you really need to understand why your people left Europe and what your people did to each other for hundreds of years before you came to this country. And I was like, why would I want to know about that? I want to get as far away from my ancestors as possible. But when so many people share this same message and you deeply respect what they have to say, you're like, maybe there's something to this. So when I went back and understood the history of what white men in particular did to white women for hundreds of years, with in community with other white women. So it was a public spectacle of violence with the entire town. They would parade the white women if they were defiant, or they just didn't like them, or in any way tried to resist. Um, they would parade them, oftentimes naked, through the town, and then burn them as a witch, and put their kids in the front row to watch them burn. And when I think about the intergenerational trauma that we carry as white women, our go-to trauma response of fawning the patriarchy makes a lot more sense to me. Not to mention that, who are the patriarchal oppressors in our lives? Our fathers, our grandfathers, uncles, our brothers, our husbands, and even our own sons,
Right.
right?
It's our desire to be loved and accepted, and that, that's an innate need and desire we have, and we just need to examine at what cost has that
And they are harmed,
and
as
they are harmed
Bell
as well.
Hooks teaches us so well. They are harmed by this system as well.
Exactly.
And so if we really love them, and if we really love ourselves, we are compassionate and going to teach them, as we learn ourselves, how to walk a different path, and how to become whole, and how to raise our children very differently from the way that we were raised. All of that is possible. And our collective safety and liberation is bound up in each other. This isn't about, you know, um, tossing anybody aside. This is this is revolutionary, okay? I'm not gonna lie. This is changing up everything, and it's for the betterment of everybody. It is about seeing the humanity in everybody, including in ourselves, and honoring that, and then working together to a future where everyone is safe and free. And I could not stop crying this weekend about the camp in Texas, and just how we are so failing our young people, whether they're being flooded out in a Christian camp, or in a colonia that doesn't have, proper drainage, and how many children are losing their lives in those situations, and or through gun violence, which is the number one killer of children in our totally preventable. It just keeps happening and happening and happening. And so I urge white women, if you are listening to this, if what we are saying is making sense to you, if you want to step up, come join our program, Becoming Trustworthy, We are launching July 22nd. We're going deep in unlearning these patterns of beliefs and behaviors that we have developed over hundreds of years, been conditioned to be who we are, and adopting a new set of beliefs and behaviors so that we can show up and be strong and do the work in our communities, bring our siblings along with us, and through that work, become trustworthy by women of color, learn how to really be in solidarity. And I see it so clearly, Cheryl, that when there are interracial sisterhood circles in every community, we can lead together the boycotts and the strikes and the mutual aid, all of that that we so need to survive through this time and to build something much better in service of everyone. And that is my purpose, is to bring white women into this fold. If this is speaking to you, please DM us and DM me, and I'm happy to share all the details on that. And with that said, Cheryl, just would love to hear your thoughts. I want to express my gratitude. You are in the program. I really appreciate you signing up. We have a sold out, we just sold out our intersectional feminist supper club in Brooklyn on July 14. If you didn't get your ticket, I'm sorry, too bad. But there are seats available in Becoming Trustworthy, and we would love to have you in there. And let me just ask, how is all of this landing with you, Cheryl?
Well, I think in order, Karen, for us, I have this similar vision, right? And I believe that we were brought together for this reason too, to have these sister circles of white women and women of color, to just be in community. And so what I know is like, I can't do this work alone. So I was seeking community. So when I've met you few different forums, and when I saw your program being, shared, immediately I knew that this is where I needed to be, because again, this is about coming together as community. And when you extending the message to white women, what I want to say is that I know from you, from everything I've heard you say, and I know what I bring as well, is that this is not about judging any white woman who has, carried a certain belief, has been raised a certain way, um, who maybe is brand new to this, examining her whiteness. This is a place for accepting women wherever they're at in their journey, not making anyone wrong for what they have or haven't done. But for me personally, I need to be in community. I need to keep learning about my whiteness. And the way to do that is not in isolation, but it's in conversations with you and other women. Um, and then really to learn, to examine the things about me that in the past or still do not make me as safe of a person, meaning to be for women of color to be in a space with me. I mean, I have no thought that there'll be one day where I don't say anything that is racist, that I don't make any mistakes, but to be a safer ally, to cause less harm. I know that there are things that I still need to learn. So becoming trustworthy, bringing all those pieces together in community with other white women to witness one another, to learn, to grow my skills so that I can, again, live out my soul's purpose. Just it all came together. And I'm super grateful, of course, too, that we're both Bay Area sisters. So we'll see each other perhaps in person in addition to these online meeting spaces.
Bay Area. Yes, I'm so excited about that aspect of the program, and I'm really excited. And I agree with everything you said. It's not like you hit anti-racist zen, and then from that point forward, you never make another mistake. I mean, also human beings are different. What one person is going to want is going to be different from what somebody else wants. But we can get better. We can get significantly better at not causing harm from the beginning. Okay, which is what I feel is my life's mission to teach, and to really understand how racism operates, who created it, why they created it, who it benefits, and what we can do in our daily lives to show up better. That is what I'm so excited to work on with you, and to keep learning myself every single day. I'm so lucky for my mentors, and I learn from you too, Cheryl. So we are all part of this community. So thank you so much to everyone who's tuned in. Thank you, Charles Phillips. White men have committed unspeakable evils against everyone else, so we may not deserve mercy, but it's hard to fully advocate for a system where I'd lose my privileges while gaining nothing. Well, listen, what white people will gain from losing white supremacy is community.
Yes.
No one, I hear this a lot. I think there's so much resistance from white people because we fear that all the stuff that we did to others to keep us up on top, now they're going to get on top and they're going to do to us. That is not what anyone wants. What everyone wants is to be here together. What everyone wants is the same stuff. Everyone wants to send their kids to a good school. Everyone wants to have access to healthcare. Everyone wants to have access to good jobs and a beautiful place to live and all of those things. They don't want to be doing this. No. We just need to be together and to um share all the world, share all the resources. That's all. That's what we're looking for. And for everyone to treat each other with dignity and respect. And it's really as I often say as a mom, like, I wish I could do something to prevent global warming. I wish that I could end the climate crisis, but I feel very limited in my capacity. I do what I can, take public transportation, walk as much as I can, all of those things. But I feel like with racism, that is something that is fully within our capacity to control. That is something that we could literally be like, that's it. This is causing tremendous harm. I'm not going to do that anymore. And we could totally shift everything. So, on that note, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Charles, thank you, Joyanne Reed and Malcolm Nance, for your fantastic interview. And I encourage people to watch that full interview. It's really quite valuable. And be in touch if you want more info about becoming trustworthy.
Yes. I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.